All right. Welcome everybody this afternoon to our session around top 3 ITSM Pro features you didn't know you had. My name is Kasper Grevald. I'm from Devoteam, and I'm joining you here from a very sunny Copenhagen. And with me I have Paul from ServiceNow, who will be driving you through this presentation just in a few seconds. But I would like to welcome you all and let you know that we are recording the session, so you can see it again afterwards if you want to do it, or share it with your colleagues in your teams. Also, during the webinar or the presentation from Paul, if you have any questions or comments, please write them in the chat. Then I will facilitate and get the feedback from Paul during the presentation. And we also have a few minutes at the end to basically catch up and allow for Q&A. With that being said, welcome to this afternoon session, and I would like to hand it over to you, Paul, for the introduction.
Thank you, Kasper, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paul van Nistelrooy. I'm speaking to you from sunny Amsterdam. I am an outbound product manager representing the IT service management business unit here in ServiceNow, and I look after IT service management and DevOps from an outbound perspective. As Kasper said, top 3 ITSM Pro features you didn't know you had. This is an introduction session, so this is the first of a series of 4. The follow-on sessions, well, I'll repeat that a few times, but are in 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 6 weeks from today. We will cover a bit more detail in those sessions. But for today, this is the agenda I would like to take you through. First, I would like to introduce IT service management professional. I know a lot of you are ServiceNow customers, and some of you may even be IT Service Management Pro or professional customers. But just setting the scene, just very briefly describing the problems we're solving and also the width of the portfolio within IT Service Management Professional. Then I have 3 shorter sessions, one on DevOps, one on PA or Performance Analytics, and one on PI, Predictive Intelligence, talking about the 3 topics that you didn't know you had. So for all of these topics and all these sessions, we'll dive into more detail on these follow-on sessions. And again, as I said, these are the follow-on dates here. I'll mention those a few more times, but do make sure to sign up for those sessions as well, because we'll go into a bit more detail than we can today in the short time that we have. All right, let me start with the introduction of IT Service Management Professional. So if you look at today's ITSM landscape, this is mostly a landscape of many silos and disparate products, disparate teams, lacking workflow. And as you know, ServiceNow makes the world of work better for people. So that's what we do. We bring workflow and structure amongst teams. We break down silos, and we make sure that the experience for the end user is one that can stand up to today's consumer standards in the workspace. So as you can see here, all those systems, all of those different data sources, different teams working in silos. With ServiceNow, we're going to solve that. So what are we solving for? As you can see at the bottom, with all these disparate systems and lack of connectivity, we have high costs of services. Right? Things need to be transferred, need to be done more than once. It's a slow process, and it basically provides for a poor experience. We have lack of visibility because data reside in various databases, in various systems. It's very hard to understand where we are overall from a service and from an end user perspective. We have no business alignment. Right? None of these systems and silos are aligned to a single set of objectives and key results, or business objectives or goals. We have a poor employee experience because we need to switch from one system to the next, and we need to wait long before we get a response to our question or a solution for anything that is not working. And last but not least, we have slow innovation speed. We can't speed up if those systems are separate and if they're all scattered around different data sources. So in comes ServiceNow with the Now platform, single platform, single data architecture, allowing for a resilient and cost-effective services on the single cloud platform. Right? Everything that we have on the platform is on that single data architecture. So there's no integrations, there's no data exchange between different applications. Even the applications that come from acquisitions are all re-platformed, so that we're looking at one code base across everything that takes place on the platform. Boost IT productivity and innovation with faster AI-driven resolutions. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail when we talk about predictive intelligence, but also things like natural language understanding or virtual agent are elements of ITSM Professional that speed up, that increase productivity and speed up innovation in your organization. And again, not least, but last, provide employees with a great IT service experience. We want to meet our employees where they are. That can be through mobile or through a portal or through workup experience or through Microsoft Teams or any other channel that they are and that we want to meet them. We don't want them to switch applications in order to leverage the power of the ServiceNow platform. Right, I think you all know that this is what we do. Some of the figures here: improve agent productivity by 30% by simply enabling those predictive intelligence capabilities, like agent assist, like recommendation framework, right? Leveraging those similarity, classification and clustering frameworks that are part of PI. Resolve incidents 33% faster. With all this machine learning, with all these capabilities now added, agents can become more productive, leading to quicker resolutions, but also to fewer reassignments and fewer escalations. Resolve major outages 20% faster. With the combined visibility in our service operations workspace, where we not only rely on what an agent can see in terms of services, but also have visibility into systems, into outages, into alerts, into events, anything that is happening on the operations side, we can provide for a better service and a quicker resolution for all those things that are happening. Right, zooming into ITSM Professional, there's a few topics here that I want to cover. First of all, boost IT agent productivity and speed innovation with platform native AI. As already mentioned, we use various frameworks that will help automatically populating fields, resulting in a better incident or request assignment, or things like categorization, or what CI group or CI item is related, what business service is related. Based on short descriptions, we can populate those fields, not burden our employees or customers with those fields. That's just one example. I name a few more when we get to this point. And then second one, serve our employees anywhere with AI-powered experience. Already mentioned mobile, MS Teams, Slack, WhatsApp, SMS, you name it. I mean, all the communication fields. We now have voice integration as well for our virtual agent, for example. So we're spreading out the capabilities, the channels through which we can support our end users. And then one small sidestep here, ITSM Enterprise, which is not the topic of this conversation, but I would be remiss if I wouldn't mention it very quickly. Continually optimize the performance of people and processes through workforce optimization and process optimization. This is really the next step after your pro implementation. You may have seen this slide before as well. This is a visualization of the ServiceNow platform with platform capabilities such as mobile, knowledge management, service level management, CMDB, etc. Around that, we form our IT service management portfolio. Within standard, we have our standard workflows like incident, problem, and change, request management, walk-up experience, and digital portfolio management. In Pro, we add virtual agent to that. This is our native in-platform chatbot that allows you to not only provide an answer to question, but really help you through the process of solving your issue. An example would be password reset. Rather than saying, here's a knowledge-based article, good luck, it really takes us through those steps by asking verification questions and really resetting the password for services inside and outside ServiceNow. This is why this is more like from information to resolution. This is more a workbot than a chatbot. Continuous service improvement, allowing you to record and gather, govern, and follow up on all the improvement initiatives that are carried out throughout the organization, right? With a trace back to performance analytics, right? If you want to implement an improvement, you want to do that because you want to improve the performance of a certain indicator. You can link that indicator to the improvement initiative so that you can see the effect of the improvement by an increased improvement over time. DevOps change, I'll cover that later in my next slides. Same for performance analytics and predictive intelligence. Then we have vendor management workspace, the single pane of glass to gather all the information that is related to service providers, so any vendors that you're working with. And last but not least, as part of ITSM Pro, there's dynamic translation that leverages dynamic the translation services like Google Translate and a few others to dynamically translate the communication between an employee and an agent. Right? So that I can ask my question in Dutch and the agent can respond in Danish and we'll understand each other. But also it allows us to connect using dynamic translation through the virtual agent. The virtual agent is supportive of dynamic translation as well. And then, as I said, last but not least, process optimization and workforce optimization. Those are the two enterprise products to complete our portfolio for IT service management. So for this session, we'll focus on DevOps change, performance analytics, and predictive intelligence. And here are the dates once again for those deeper dive sessions in 2, 4, and 6 weeks from today. All right, without any further ado, let me zoom into the top 3 features you didn't know you had with DevOps change. So DevOps change is a product that we've introduced in San Diego and is part of the ITSM Pro license. Right? The problem we're addressing is that IT struggles to increase the velocity of services. Right? Anything coming out of your CI/CD pipeline needs to go through change processes. With change velocity, we can speed up that process. We can cater for various change state models so that you don't have to pick different states manually, but that's all governed now by the models that we have prepared. With DevOps change, we speed up the process from anything that is developed to anything that needs to be put into production. Some changes, like minor cosmetic changes, we don't need to go through a change approval board. We can just automatically approve those. And that's just one example. We can set up a whole set of various criteria to speed up the automation of change processes. Bottom right-hand side, minutes rather than weeks to release a product update. That's actually the improvement that we make for a lot of those changes with DevOps change. Okay, so that's the product. Now, what are 3 things that you may not know? First of all, excuse me. First of all, centralized code and configuration changes through DevOps config. In Tokyo, we released DevOps config. And then DevOps config is a new product in the DevOps portfolio that allows you to model your application and infrastructure as code changes and centralized code and configuration snapshots for operational visibility. Think of it as follows. With all the increase in microservices in our cloud architecture and the increased number of new deployments through faster innovation, we see ourselves with a challenge when it comes to configuration data. One of the results of that can be weak access control or uncontrolled configuration changes, which can make it hard to troubleshoot outages and incidents. As a solution for that, we provide a configuration data model that captures all the configuration data and maps it to all the incoming changes. We have launched that product in, as I said, in Tokyo, and in our session on in 2 weeks from now, we'll dive a bit deeper into what it entails and how it can provide value. Another challenge that we see sometimes when rolling out DevOps change is the onboarding of development teams. And now with Tokyo, we have a guided onboarding experience for most developer tools. Right? This is not a one-time effort, right? This is a continuous onboarding of new pipelines. Right? With this functionality, we can scale out your DevOps coverage, make sure that we use a DevOps administration UI to facilitate that. Again, a deeper dive in 2 weeks from today. The third point is manage DevOps performance across the business. Across the business. DevOps change workspace insights, provide industry standard metrics. These are the well-known DORA metrics, as you may be familiar with that. This allows for getting constant and up-to-date insight into the performance of individual teams, but also provides for the ability to compare the performance across teams that are working on your different tools and applications. All right, so that's the DevOps portion, right? Those are the three things that we'll dive into a bit further in our next session. Then following that session, so that's in 4 weeks from today, we'll have our top 3 features you didn't know you had with performance analytics. First of all, very briefly, performance analytics, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is an application that has been in the platform since our Eureka release, so fairly long time. It allows you to define your own indicators, set up calculated indicators, and automatically track trending across that indicator. What you can do with that is you can see how things are progressing over time. You can even predict what specific performances are in the future. Right? So what it allows you to see is not only to identify, but also to anticipate bottlenecks in your operational processes. If you can see a stagnation of specific processes in a specific state, or for specific teams, or for specific types of incidents, or a combination of those, then that will help you prevent missing SLAs rather than reporting on poor performance. Key here is the use of KPIs, the use of trends, the ability to anticipate, and the aggregation capabilities, but also obviously it being native into the platform, the link back to the originating underlying records. So 3 things you may not be aware of that are part of performance analytics. First is KPI signals. KPI signals allows you to be notified of not easily visible, but potentially significant process changes. Things like there's been a consistent overperformance of this very low level detailed KPI in a specific group. You may not have noticed that, but this is uncommon behavior. So KPI signal picks that up, and that allows you to dive into that. So really telling you what you may not have seen at a high level dashboard. Spotlight. It's something that we've had for a long time within PA, and sometimes it's called the best kept secret within PA. What it does is it allows you to put a weighing factor on specific indicators based on business criteria. So it will help focus your teams on what they should prioritize on. Now, you may say we have a priority field for that. So thank you very much, but that's already covered. And this is probably right for all your P1s and P2s, but think of P3s and P4s as this is where the majority of your incidents are. Are they all equally important, or are some P4s related to maybe more critical processes? And despite it not being a P1 or P2, probably should be handled before anything else. That's exactly what Spotlight allows you to focus on, to highlight. And then last but not least, KPI Composer. With the knowledge of how to set up KPIs and to link them to specific stakeholders and to translate that into dashboards. You can set up meaningful dashboards that are used on a daily basis by your end users, and that will help improve insight and performance. With KPI Composer, we will guide you through the process of setting up those indicators, relating them to each other, providing context as stakeholders, business services, etc., and being able to translate that into actual dashboards. Another thing you may not have known that you had when you started working with PA. All right, so that's the second one. The third one, Predictive Intelligence. I think this is March 22nd. The top 3 features you didn't know with Predictive Intelligence. So first of all, what does Predictive Intelligence do? Predictive Intelligence is the umbrella name for anything machine learning and AI within the ServiceNow platform. So as it says here, service teams spending time on routine tasks resulting in long resolution times. AI supports the effectiveness of the work that the agent does but it also helps the requester. This might be an employee or a customer that enters in specific text and then doesn't have to fill in all detailed fields, because the classification framework can help him or her do so. So it can do a few things. As it says in the outcome section here, automatically assign incidents to the right resolution team. Things like advanced work assignment can rely on machine learning. Provide resolution recommendations based on past success. Recommendation framework is something that will be surfaced in the service operations workspace as something that, based on your experience, you would recommend the agent to do as a next step. And this can maybe be to link an incident as a parent incident, or maybe escalate this to a problem, and maybe to a major incident because of certain drivers behind it. There's also agent assist. Similar open incidents, right? So why is that relevant? Well, if there's like 10 or 15 or 20 incidents very similar that were raised in the last 10 minutes, you may be onto something bigger than just a single incident. Also, you can group those incidents rather than having 10 agents working on the same thing, having one agent working on the 10 things at the same time. But also you can see successfully resolved incidents that are very similar. When is this relevant? Well, if I'm pretty new to maybe the service desk or maybe to a specific service that I'm now supporting, I would be helped if I could see a resolution to a very similar incident that was successfully provided to another end user. Right? I can even copy that to my new incident, or I can learn from it, etc., etc. It's machine learning that allows for the agent to become a lot more productive. Now, 3 of the things you may not have known to have when you looked at predictive intelligence. First is automation discovery. This is a specific application of a clustering framework that allows you to look at recent incidents or requests or any other object, and to ask them to group similar incidents together in clusters. And what that will give you is it will give you a set of the biggest clusters, which are the biggest areas for improvement. Right? So this is your low-hanging fruit if you would like to use automation solutions like virtual agent or agent assist. Right? These are the things that can help you find where should I start when I implement virtual agent. Not a good start for a virtual agent is saying, well, we had a chatbot, let's see what the top 10 conversations of the previous chatbot were and apply them to virtual agent. Similar, like it's probably not the best idea to find your 10 most used reports to build your PA around. Right? There's better ways of doing that. Automation discovery is probably the best way in which machine learning can help you find the candidates for improvements. The second one is PI Workbench. PI Workbench was introduced, I'd say 2 or 3 releases ago, probably San Diego, maybe one before that, Rome. And it really lowers the entry level of starting to using predictive intelligence. It has a set of pre-built use case templates that allow you to quickly get started with various frameworks within machine learning, rather than starting to do everything from scratch. And the third feature you may not have known that you had is recommendation framework. Even though this is something that appears in our demos a lot, it's really powerful, and it's something that not all customers are aware of. What recommendation framework does is provides a framework for relevant, contextual, and actionable recommendation for any incoming work, whether it's a change request, whether it's an incident or an HR case, or any other piece of work. Right? This is a recommendation that we can provide to you based on best practices. So, final slide from my side before we have a look at any incoming questions. Please bookmark your calendars for these follow-up sessions. It's the same time as this one. It's February 22nd, March 8th, and March 22nd for DevOps, Performance Analytics, and Predictive Intelligence, where we will do a deeper dive on the 3 topics you did not know for these 3 applications. With that, before I say thank you, I'm going to ask Casper if there's any questions that need any feedback on your responding.
Yes, so thank you, Paul, for this very good introduction to to Pro. So in the audience, if you have any questions or comments to Paul or myself, please feel free to put them in the chat, and then I'll facilitate. And just to kick it off, Paul, I have a question for you. So from your experience, where do customers start on basically adopting the Pro features? What have you seen customers do?
Okay, that's a really good question. So it varies. I mean, the product that is in production the most is performance analytics, but probably the reason for that is it's the oldest product in the Pro suite. So where the customers start, if they start with ITSM Pro, a lot of customers start with Virtual Agent. I think if you look at the main reasons to start with Pro, Virtual Agent is probably among the top two, together with Predictive Intelligence. And Virtual Agent is something that you can very easily and quickly implement because of the massive amount of support and out-of-the-box content that is provided. We have an example of a customer that went live within 2 weeks after signing the contract, simply publishing some of the out-of-the-box topics, and they managed to deflect or self-serve 20% of the incoming requests in the first weeks after going live. That's not to say that every customer will have those numbers, but it just shows that it's something you can get up and running quickly. Secondly, would be predictive intelligence, things like classification framework, which is fairly easy to set up and has a great impact. And then I think somewhat later stages, you see customers using agent assistant recommendation framework. So that's probably the most frequently seen order in which those are implemented.
Super, thanks for your input. Regarding predictive intelligence, are there any like prerequisites for getting started? Do customers need, X amount of data or something like that to support a good implementation? What's your experience?
Right, so I think there's a few answers to that question. First of all, yes, you need to have a relevant set of data, right? So machine learning is all about large quantities of data. Think about 10, 15,000 incidents before you can really train a model. Anything below that, it wouldn't give relevant data. This is not a ServiceNow limitation. This is just a machine learning standard. So that's one thing. So if you want to get started with machine learning from day one, I probably recommend you to just go live with incident management processes for a few months. Try to use performance analytics to identify some bottlenecks, see if you can improve some areas there. And once you have a relevant set of data, you can then start training models in order to use machine learning. The second thing I think is good to know is what I mentioned already. PI Workbench really lowers the entry level, lowers the threshold. You don't have to be an AI specialist or a data analyst of any kind in order to get started with predictive intelligence. I mean, obviously, you need to know what you're doing, but it's really made a lot easier. And then the third and final thing is, I can't stress this enough. Please have a look at all the outlets on community, things like Virtual Agent Academy. There's tons of videos and content that you can use to get yourself acquainted with how other customers have gone through this and what they have learned.
Super valuable input. Thanks, Paul. And we are just running out of time. There aren't any more questions in the chat. So I would like to thank everybody for joining this afternoon, and thank you, Paul, for taking us through this very interesting content. And as Paul mentioned, please bookmark your calendars for the follow-up sessions that will come over the next month and a half, where we'll dive into the modules themselves and how they can help you in your organizations. So thank you everybody for joining. Hope it was valuable, and see you for the next session in end of February. Thanks everybody.